Welcome to our weekly program, The Inside Story of Chabad in America through the Mindel Archives. This past summer, I was in Eretz Yisrael. I stayed in Geula. Geula is a religious neighborhood in Yerushalayim. I was there about 6 weeks. I davened every day in a shul that's called the Shtiblach. That's in Zichron Moshe. Now, this has a name. This is Minyanim. 24 hours a day. Hundreds of people are in the shul. They start by the nets, Shachritz, till Mincha. And then there's, I don't know how many Minyanim, Shtiblach, Minyanim, the whole time. Then Mincha till Ma'ariv, Minyanim. Then Ma'ariv till the end, 24 hours a day. Hundreds of Yidden. Sfardim, Ashkenazim, all types of Chassidim. Chabad, people go there. Satmar Chassidim, Kloisenberger, Gerer, Belzer, and the Taimaner, Rabbaralach, and the Litvische, and Koil, a lot. All over. And Mamish, they're all united. And the Chazan can daven whatever nusach he wants. Some daven Ashkenaz, the Chazan, so fine. Some shuls, you don't let the minhag is certain nusach. Here, every one, whatever nusach he is, you want to daven nusach hari, you can daven nusach hari, whatever. This is how it was. Pashut, they were united. They say by a Yid, he always says, he has to say the opposite. Shalom Aleichem, you have to say Aleichem Shalom. First Aleichem, then Shalom. Because you're a Yid, so you say the opposite. But here people were they're mamish united is to see that everybody's together and they're united, all Chassidim, not Chassidim, whatever it is. Now, being there a few weeks, I davened together with all these, people, and I got to know them. And I can tell you, their love towards Chassidus is unbelievable. I never believed. And to the Rebbe. And I was shocked to see many Chassidim, different Chassidim, with Streimlach, they showed me dollars from the Rebbe, that they got dollars. They lived there, many people, and they asked me about the Rebbe, and they were interested in the Rebbe. There's one person, by the way, told me a maisa that it was a Gerer Chassid, big Gerer Chassid. He says when he was a Bocher, he used to go to the Orech Chaim in Har Azeisim, I think. And he was once standing over there by the Orech Chaim, and he sees two Arabs in back of him. He didn't turn around, but he started to say Shema Yisrael, standing 10 minutes, and all of a sudden they left. So he came home, he told his mother. His mother says, I'm not letting you go to the kever anymore. It's dangerous. But the only way I'll let you go, if the Lubavitcher Rebbe, if he tells you can go, then it's the only way I'm not afraid. Otherwise, this is giving an example. So he wrote to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe answered him that he should go to the Kaisel, the Rav of the Kaisel, ask him, and other few things. And then next day he came to me and he showed me, I have a copy here, he showed me the letter what the Rebbe wrote to him about that. I just want to show example how you never know how much people were in touch with the Rebbe. So I do want to say that seeing all this, I think if the Shluchim, Chabad, if they would be interested and do shlichus, emphasize to frum people like they do to not frum yet, Mashiach would come already. Poshet, we see that their love to the Rebbe and to Chassidus, but I guess nobody goes there. I mean, not everything is kiruv that you have to do Mekar, bring closer, which is important, of course. But to Frumiten also, once I heard a word, they say, we always say, Afal Pisha Chota Yisrael, Afal Pisha Chota. Even if we did a sin, we still Yisrael. But Yisrael Shaloi Chota, we forget that Yisrael Shaloi Chota is also Yisrael. These people are also. And I think Mashiach would be here if we would abgeben to these people, learn with them Chassidus, talk about the Rebbe, we can make the whole world to be Chabad. I saw it. So one day, the people got together, this was in the summer, and they said, let's make a Fabringen. These were Belzer Chassidim and Gerer Chassidim and Alexander from the Shul. Mamish, a Fabringen. So we made a Fabringen. We had a Fabringen, right after Tisha B'Av. Beautiful Fabringen, many people. And here I want to mention some questions that these people had. Pasha the Rebbe, they wanted to know, and what we discussed. It's very interesting. First of all, they asked about Mashiach. Why is the Rebbe? And they want to know about Mashiach. The Rebbe came out with a campaign. What does that mean? What did the Rebbe want? This is what they was asked. Also, about Medinas Yisrael. Does the Rebbe feel like Medinas Yisrael? Does the Rebbe feel like the Satmar Chassidim do or not? It was a question. And why does the Rebbe stand all day and give dollars? What is the meaning behind standing all day? Doesn't he get tired all day? And also, why doesn't the Rebbe wear shtreimel? And another question, why doesn't the Rebbe mingle with other Gedolim? And the more questions, why the Rebbe, what happened when he came to America, the 10 years before he was Rebbe, he was here with the Rebbetzin, what happened then? So we went into all this. It was a beautiful Fabringen. So let me just tell you on the program what to discuss. First of all, about Mashiach, I mentioned to them, tell you what I mentioned to them, and I think the Rebbe once mentioned this also. I think it was the Kapitchenzer Rebbe, if I'm mistaken, maybe another. I think it was the Kapitchenzer Rebbe. That's what I was told. Maybe another one. He was a very chashuv Yid. He was one sitting with the Frierdiker Rebbe, with the Rebbe Rayatz, and the Misnagid was there, and a Chassid. So the Misnagid got up, and the Misnagid said, the Chassid got up, and the Chassid said that the Rebbe Rayatz is Mashiach. So the Misnagid got up and got very upset. And it's apikursis, you're not allowed to say who's Mashiach, and you don't know who's Mashiach, and this whole thing, he got very upset that the Chassid said that the Rebbe is Mashiach. So the Kapitchenzer Rebbe got up, and he said to the Misnagid, let me ask you something. Are you Mashiach? He says, Chas v'sholom, I'm Zichar Mashiach. Of course not, you're not allowed to say, of course not. So one thing we know, Chaim Yankel, or whatever his name was, Chaim Yankel, the whole world knows is surely not Mashiach. Right? Or right. I know I'm not Mashiach. What do you care if he's Mashiach? And if there is a person that did so much in this world, Mashiach is so much, he's worth it to be Mashiach. The Rebbe is that candidate, that person in the world today, in the world, the whole world, in our door, that he is probably more, if you want to say, if anybody, Mashiach, it's the Rebbe. That's number one. Number two, Mashiach was being forgotten. We're waiting over 2,000 years. People say, Semach David Avdecha, we all believe, of course. We end off a drasha, a speech with Mashiach, the Rebbe zal helfen, Mashiach Tzidkenu zal kommen. But is it real? The Rebbe made Mashiach real. The Mashiach is mamish, the Amunas HaMashiach in the entire world, this is what the Rebbe wanted to accomplish. This is what we spoke about. I think this is what it is. The other thing that was bothered them, that we discussed, what does it mean that the Rebbe says Nosi Hador, and he means the previous Rebbe? Why is it? What does it mean Nosi Hador? Something like that. Nosi Hador. Why is it? So we discussed there, and I saw it by Rabbi Midel's notes, that the Rebbe wore 3 crowns. The crown of Nosi of Chabad, the Nosi of the entire Jewish world, and the Yiddish Welt, and the Nosi of the world. Nosi Chabad, of course, everything has to go through the Rebbe. Also, the people, they're interested in the Rebbe. I don't know when people are interested in other Rabbeim as much, what they're doing or whatever. They're very tired of Yidden, Heilig Yidden, but people are interested, besides people that are not frum. I mean, you can see, I was in a Tisol, you go into the taxi driver who's not religious, right? Oh, you say the word Rebbe, he knows what we're talking about. It's the Rebbe. And I remember by Milchemes Sheishes Hayomim, the 6-day war, I mentioned that to them, that there was a Sakona then, even a big Rabbeim from Eretz Yisrael wanted to leave. But they all wanted to know what the Rebbe says. And whatever the Rebbe says goes. So the Rebbe is the Pshat, the Nosi, because everybody, if the Rebbe says, people are relaxed. They feel that this is the right way. Whether it comes to health or comes to other things. The Frume world and not the Frume world. About dollars, we discussed then, the Rebbe stands all day. I mean, doesn't he get tired? He gets tired. So what do you mean? Sometimes 5-6 hours. He wasn't a young person. So I told him, I heard once that a little girl was carrying her brother on her shoulders. And it was a hot day and it was a very dusty road, and she was very tired carrying, heavy. So somebody came over to her and says, little girl, you have a heavy load. Why don't you put him down? You're carrying a heavy load. So the little girl said, my friend, this is not a heavy load, this is my brother. The same thing also here. The Rebbe stands all day. And I think the Rebbe mentioned somebody. When you count diamonds, you don't get tired. Every Yid is a diamond by the Rebbe. Which Rebbe has this? Every Yid considers that diamond. The Rebbe once said that Yisrael is abbreviation. Yud is Yitzchak and Yaakov. Sin is Soreh. Reish is Rachel and Rivka. Aleph is Avraham. And Lamed is Leo. Every Yid has within them the midos of Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Soreh, Rivka, Rachel, Leo. So when they pass, every Yid is a diamond in the Neshama. How can you get tired? So the Rebbe, it's not Shaykh, the Rebbe should get tired from this. And this is what we discussed then. And then about the Medinas Yisrael, it was on for bringing. So I mentioned that the Rebbe once said, whoever is Mekarev Yom HaAtzmaut is Merachik the Gula for 50 years. And whoever is Merachik Yom HaAtzmaut is Mekarev the Gula. This is what the Rebbe was saying about Medinas Yisrael. The Rebbe was, I think, a bigger kanoi than the Satmar Rebbe. I never heard 50 years by Fabrinyan, I was there. I don't think I ever heard the Rebbe mention the word Medinas Yisrael. I didn't hear, at least I didn't hear. Because he didn't want to give a Metzias Medina. I mean, can I heard the Satmar Chassidim probably millions times Medina. Never said Medina. Because by the Rebbe it doesn't even exist. Eretz Yisrael is Eretz HaKodesh. It's Eretz Yisrael. The Torah speaks about Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Eini Hashem Elokecha Bo Mereishis Hashona V'Adach Rishona. The Eretz Yisrael is the Yidna there. That's why we have to help Eretz Yisrael. It has nothing to do with the Medina. The Rebbe never mentioned the word Medina. So in Inyan, the Rebbe is probably more kanoi than the Satmar Chassidim as far as its role. Because it's not that the Medina, but there is no. It's Yidna there, and Yidden is, every Yid is important. You have to save every neshama. There's once, I remember saying this story. This Rabbi Yishmael Levitnol Vasholim, he went into the Rebbe on Yom HaAtzmaut, on the first Yom HaAtzmaut, Hey Iyar. I'm sorry, to the previous Rebbe, to Rebbe Rayatz. And that he saw the Rebbe Rayatz crying. So he asked the Rebbe, why are you crying? So the Rebbe says, Mashiach was born today, but it was a neifel, it's a miscarriage. And according to him, to Rabbi Shmuel, he meant the Yom HaAtzmaut. So we see here that it's not, that's Medina, it's the same thing. That the Rebbe, it's the Yidden is important. The land, the holiness of the land is important. But it's not the word Medina. So the Rebbe doesn't mention. Now, then we went into a Fabringen then, about how the Rebbe can sit, but Fabringen so many hours in Fabringen. So I said, we can see by the Rebbe, Fabringen, it's not the Pshat, he speaks. Fabringen is broches. The Rebbe git broches the whole time. It says by Yitzchak, that before Yitzchak ben Yaakov Yitalacha, it says Vayochal, and he ate, Vayesht, and he drank, Vayivaracheyu, and he gave brachas. When can you give brachas? When you say L'chaim. That's when the bracha is chal, when you have to say L'chaim. And you see by the Rebbe, when people said L'chaim, a lot of people that were there were Bafabringen. They said L'chaim to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe said to everyone L'chaim, and he didn't start the next sikha until everyone already was said, and then the same thing also in the next sikha. So a Fabringen is a union of brachas. And besides, you see, the Rebbe's Sanhogye, the Rebbe never leaned back once by Fabringen. Usually a person sits and leans back after a few minutes, or looks in a paper. There's no such a thing. Because a Fabringen is a ruchnis dike inyan, it's lamayla. We went into that. Another thing they asked me is about the shtreimel. Why the Rebbe doesn't wear shtreimel? All Rabbi wore shtreimelach. So first of all, I said the Rebbe is a soldier. The Rebbe is a Rebbe, and the Rebbe is like a soldier. That's why he never asked him for a bracha. He said, I'll mention it by the Frierdiker Rebbe. Always the Frierdiker Rebbe. He is nothing. And that's number one. So he didn't wear a shtreimel. He didn't consider himself as the Frierdiker Rebbe, Asker al-Atziyin. And I remember a Maise that once, when I was a Bacher, I told him that the Rebbe Fabring Mitzoi Shabbos, which is Yutas Kislev, big Fabringen, and there was a couple Satmar Chassidim came, they were standing in the back, and Mitzoi Shabbos, you still wear the big day Shabbos, the clothes of Shabbos. But they took off the shtreimel. They Shabbos, they wear shtreimel, but why? Because since they go to the Rebbe doesn't have a shtreimel, so because from the Rebbe, they took off the shtreimel. So the Rebbe saw them from far, and the Rebbe made like this to them. In other words, where is your shtreimel? They were shocked. The Rebbe doesn't wear a shtreimel, but the Rebbe. Then later on they came because one of the daughters got married, so they gave mashki to the Rebbe. So the Rebbe said to them, why did you take off your shtreimel? And the Rebbe mentioned the word with a smile. Shabbos in the Chalosh Tevis, shtreimel bim koim tefillin. So Shabbos the tefillin, in other words, why did you take off? So we see that the Rebbe, even though the Rebbe doesn't wear a shtreimel, but the Rebbe, since it's a big Shabbos, the Rebbe holds. This was a discussion about the Fabringen. But in Mitzvah Shem, next week, I don't have time today for the other things we spoke. We will discuss about what the Rebbe, when he came to America with the Rebbetzin in 1941, what he did the whole year. And I can tell you that if thousands of frume Yidden, if we want to abgeben with them, and they would learn Chassidus, and this is something that Mashiach would zicher come. Yeah, that if we abgeben even to these Yidden because they love the Rebbe and they love Chassidus, but you have to get to them. And once the Rebbe mentioned that something that when we want to go put on film with somebody and we don't succeed, it's not their fault, that's my fault, because we don't know how to relate to them. So this is very important. There's one thing I want to finish here, is that one question they were wondering, and that's something that bothered them, is about the tznius and about the certain derech eretz, which I don't want to discuss today, but maybe in the near future we'll talk about it. Mitzvah Shem, next week we'll continue our weekly program. Thank you.